what in the hell is going on up in the sky in this first video. So here we see a group of folks hanging outside watching the sky because something just doesn't seem right. The sky is bright blue. The thing is, it's not daytime, and everyone's pretty shook up about it. Especially when the sky suddenly turns dark again, as we can see here. Now, clearly there is a storm. I mean, you see some subtle lightning flashes in the distance, there's dark clouds up above, but this was one serious flash of lightning, if that's even what it was. I mean, it really does look like there was a glitch in the sky, and then suddenly it became daytime for a few moments and then went back to normal. And here are some images of the sky that night. That looks pretty insane. If I saw that, I would definitely think the apocalypse was on its way. Funniest comment on this one, by the way, could be one of those high-powered flashlights. Yes. High-powered flashlights, known to do that to the sky. Can you make any sense of this next clip? Weird. Snow filling up the reflection in the mirror, but panning to the window, to outside, there looks to be no snow falling. I really wish snow worked this way here. I mean, it looks lovely when you don't actually have to go outside and shovel it, walk through it, drive through it, shiver through it, clean up all the snow residue you inevitably drag into your house. If we really are living in a simulation, I would just prefer, you know, this type of glitch to happen more often, is all I'm saying. Is that too much to ask for? The bird in this next video comes from Blue French Horn 26, who said that her daughter's boyfriend was on his way to lifeguard training when he spotted this. Just what is wrong with birds lately? This is not the first bird stuck in midair video that I've seen online. And what's interesting about this clip is the dude behind the camera is not the only one who notices that something is off. One guy had gotten out of his car to take a picture. So it's interesting that people at different angles saw the bird and noticed how weird it was. I say this because some commenters said the bird may have been suspended by fishing line or something, which is possible, but you certainly can't see any sign of that in the video. What do you all think of this one though? Leave your thoughts down in the comments. We usually talk about planes disappearing on this channel, but this is something else entirely. A plane that seems to just be sitting up in the sky. This one comes from TikToker Tanya.Draws, who was driving down a road in Chicago when she spotted the plane, and according to her, it was not the first time. What's crazy about this one is how low the plane is. I've seen other videos where people bug out about a plane seemingly frozen in the sky, but the plane is usually way higher up in the air. Easy for optical illusions to happen in that case, and while this could be an optical illusion too, it is just interesting to me how close this plane is. I mean, we get a nice, clear view here. Anyway, regardless of the explanation, I mean, it just looks super weird. This next video got a lot of people talking about a year back. So a man named Eddie from Fresno, California, going by Break and Pop on TikTok, posted a video showing the reflection of this orange Corvette C8 in the window of a strip mall. The thing is, no one can find the actual car in the parking lot. Eddie pans the camera across the lot multiple times, repeatedly asking, "Where is this car? I seriously don't see the car anywhere." This one went viral. Hundreds of commenters trying to make sense of what they were seeing. Eddie even included the text "glitch in the matrix" and asked in the caption if anyone could explain what was going on. Some said it was proof that we're living in a simulated world. Some eagle-eyed commenters also pointed out some other strange details about the video, like two mannequins on a bench and this weird bird bath sign that led one user to joke, "Do birds even read?" Seemed like there was just a lot of odd stuff about this parking lot. So this next one is pretty creepy. A TikToker named Laughter Awaits posted this clip of a woman seemingly frozen in place. And the pair behind the camera are understandably totally dumbfounded by what they're seeing. Not only is this woman standing perfectly still, but her legs are crossed. I mean, like, how do you stand in this? I mean, I know you can't see me, but just imagine I'm crossing your legs, if you will. This video also goes on for over a minute, and she would have been standing like that before they started recording. Whoever this person is, she would be amazing at red light, green light, but all of a sudden, she just unfreezes and continues to walk like nothing happened. Very strange. Imagine seeing that at night though. You just look outside your bedroom window and she's there, just mid-stride, frozen in place. Those blinds would be getting closed. This next video comes from Lynn's No Hands, who wrote in the caption, "Why are all the same cars parked in this empty townhome neighborhood?" Very good question, Lynn's. Let's take a look. So, yep, as the caption says, it's all the same car, different colors, sure, but same type. And they're all backed into the driveways. None are facing the other way. Pretty weird stuff. And I don't know about you, but whenever I'm driving past neighborhoods like this, I do get a weird feeling anyway. It's just, a series of boring houses, all identical, just repeating over and over and over again. This, of course, takes it to a whole other level, though. I mean, I don't know, did someone just buy this entire neighborhood and then turn it into a car dealership? Your guess is as good as mine. So back in 2023, a TikTok video posted by user unknown1575489, very catchy title, started making the rounds online. This video shows a person walking down a busy sidewalk, or rather, not walking. As we can all clearly see, this woman appears to be frozen mid-stride. It's not a still image, there are cars driving by. This person seems to be just stuck in place. Then moments later, the person just snaps back to reality and starts walking again. This video racked up more than 5.5 million views, with thousands of comments diving into theories. Most of them, of course, pointed straight to simulation theory, with users joking that this person was like an NPC in a video game. And yeah, I can't say I don't get some cyberpunk glitch vibes from this video. What's odd is that her hair doesn't even appear to move at all. It's one thing for someone to just stand as still as they can, but that bit is just extra odd. The hair not moving. And according to the uploader, she'd been standing like that for about a minute before he even started recording. So did this fish just learn to swim in midair? This video comes from TikToker Ruben.v.irs, and yeah, I do not know what the hell is happening here. So we watch as the water drains from the tank, but this fish doesn't go down with the water. It just stays at the exact level it was before, swimming around in the tank, just not with water around its body. Some of these things are really hard to describe in words, and here it is from another angle. And here, you'll notice that there are other fish in the tank, and they float down with the water as it drops further and further down the tank, because, that's just how gravity works. But this one fish zips from the bottom of the tank to the top, where there's nothing but empty space. Pretty cool video. Just what in the fork is this? Posted by Nico Too Swift. He and his siblings watch as this fork does what no fork has done before. I sat down for a while trying to form the words to describe what I'm looking at, but I just gave up. I mean, you can see what's happening. Now, not only is this very weird, but reading the text, this was all filmed at his brother's place, which, according to him, was haunted. So apparently this was not the only strange thing they'd experienced at this house.
Starting off our list today, we have the disappearance and death of Kyle Marissa Roth. Kyle Marissa was a TikToker whose content consisted of blind items, insider knowledge that exposed celebrities and some of society's highest elites for acting malevolently. Prior to her death, the TikToker had posted a series of videos she claimed exposed both P. Diddy and Oprah, along with many other celebrities connected to the pair for their mistreatment of young men, which she claims were used by Diddy for adult favors. Shortly after posting the videos, they were taken down from her main page, and so naturally, wanting to expose the misbehavior of Diddy and others, she reposted them on her second account, and also claims that the information provided was sent in by victims to news outlets in an effort to bring awareness to the situation and to put pressure on the police to act. In April of 2024, shortly after the videos were posted, Kyle Marissa Roth was found dead after her parents called for a welfare check on the 36-year-old. No cause of death was given for the influencer, leading the public to speculate on what actually happened and if her untimely demise might have had something to do with the videos she was posting in the days leading up to her passing. Next up, we have Andrew Dawson, a TikToker who exposed the government and then paid the ultimate price. death. In 2022, the TikToker with over 56,000 followers posted a video of what appeared to be a giant standing on top of a mountain in Canada. That video was then followed up with an explanation video in which the TikToker stated that he had been removed from the premises after capturing the video by agents working for the American Central Intelligence Agency and the Canadian Security Intelligence Service, and that he was now being stalked by both of the organizations, and he was quite worried for his safety. He continued to maintain the story until one day, seemingly out of the blue, he uploaded a video explaining that he had made everything up. Although in the video it appears as though his confession is being coerced by someone off camera, which is likely, as just 10 days later, he uploaded another video rescinding his confession and stating a very real fear for his life. One day after that, he posted another video at the base of the same mountain where he had originally seen the giant, but this time it appeared as though a military base had suddenly popped up on the mountain's peak. After that, the TikTok account went dark, and 2 months later, his obituary was posted by a local news outlet. How he died remains unknown, or whether or not he really did, or who might have killed him. I literally have goosebumps, you guys. Next up, we have TikTok user Jenna Telya, who disappeared without a trace for 26 years. The user took to TikTok to share the story of how she discovered that her parents were not who she thought they were, and that she had in fact been a missing person since 1980. After discovering that she was not the biological child of the woman who raised her, and in an attempt to find her birth mother, Jenna decided to contact the local sheriff's office in the town in which she was born, and when she did, she got so much more than she bargained for. The sheriff told her that when she was younger, her grandmother had reported her missing after her birth mother had given her away to another family in exchange for financial gain. I couldn't find any information as to whether or not the TikToker ever got to meet any of her biological family members, but she did make it clear that her mother was not a good person and that she would have not been safe had she stayed with her. Unfortunately, her adoptive parents were no better. They were actually quite terrible. But it seems as though Jenna is doing much better now, and I have to say I do wish her well. Next up, we have TikToker Pratima, who in 2020 and at the age of 25 disappeared without a trace, according to her husband. While the pair were visiting Delhi, the TikTok star separated from her husband, which caused him to panic. He filed a report with the police, and he and his father both made posts online about Pratima's disappearance. Her husband gushed about her success as her father-in-law spoke about her disappearance, and an investigation was launched into the whereabouts of Pratima. Well, as it turns out, they found her, probably because she was never actually missing. Rather, she had fled from her husband and her in-laws, who she claimed had been tormenting her and who had made her fear for her safety. Not only that, but her husband was actually aware of this. He knew that she wasn't missing, but he filed a police report anyways in an effort to locate Pratima and to bring her back into his cycle of mistreatment. Luckily, his attempt was unsuccessful, and Pratima is free. So that's awesome. At our halfway point today, I'm going to keep things somewhat light with Chris Rooney, who disappeared from the platform before returning with a heartfelt explanation for his absence. Chris Rooney became popular on TikTok after sharing videos of himself and his niece under the username The Yeet Baby. His content is adorable. I watch it. It's really cute. It's basically him teaching his niece dexterity by allowing her to pour juice and milk into cups and bowls, and sometimes those cups get yeeted, hence the name The Yeet Baby. In August of last year, 2023, Chris was absent from the platform, and people began to wonder what had happened. Eventually, he returned and provided his fans with an explanation for his absence. He revealed that his reason behind taking a break from TikTok was so that he could take some time to focus on his mental well-being. After suffering from poor mental health following his divorce, he had checked himself into a mental health facility. While this can be a difficult thing to share online, Chris was quite candid about his experience, stating, "Unfortunately, there was nothing anyone could do to help me. It is something that I have to work on, and I am going to make it my life's mission to not only get myself healthy, but also others." Keep it up, Chris. Now this next one's a little bit different, because instead of a TikToker disappearing without a trace, we have a man who disappeared without a trace, only to reappear years later in a TikTok video. On December 26th of 2016, Suresh walked out on his wife, Jayaprada, their son, and their daughter. He left no trace and no clues as to where he might have gone. 3 years went by, and Jayaprada began to believe that she might never again see her husband. That is until a family member sent her a TikTok video. A TikTok video in which her husband can be clearly seen dancing to popular music. Jayaprada immediately went down to the police station for assistance. It didn't take them long to track down Suresh, who was, at the time of being located, in a relationship with another woman. However, when the police contacted him, he agreed to come home to his wife and their kids. I'm not really sure if this story had a happy ending, but at least Jaya no longer has to worry about whether or not her husband is alive or dead, although at this point she might wish he was dead. Doubling down on people who disappeared but were then found because of TikTok, we have Jessica Lewis and Austin Wenner. One day, 3 TikTokers went down to Seattle Beach where they discovered a suitcase. You might have seen this one online. It actually gained a lot of traction. Curious, they opened the suitcase, and inside they found much more than anyone could have ever expected. Body parts. They immediately contacted police, who arrived on the scene to discover another bag filled with body parts in the area. An investigation was opened into who the 2 people were, and it was discovered that the bodies belonged to Jessica Lewis and Austin Wenner, a couple living near Seattle. It turns out they had been killed by their landlord after a dispute had broken out over unpaid rent. The landlord, Michael Dudley, was sentenced to 46 years in prison for the death of the pair. I think it's worth mentioning that while the investigations were taking place, the video of the suitcase's discovery was posted on TikTok, and it amassed countless views despite its graphic content. I really don't understand how people can be so numb to social understanding. But to the person who posted the video and then refused to take it down because they chose likes and views over the family of the deceased's feelings, do better. Next up, we have the disappearance of Spidey Turin, a TikTok live streamer who in January of this year disappeared literally without a trace while visiting Phuket, Thailand. The live streamer is best known for his travel stories, confrontational behavior, and plant-based substance use, if you know what I mean. In his last live, he spoke about looking for a place to smoke and briefly mentioned something about a girlfriend. After that, nothing. Radio silence. He was last seen reportedly acting erratically in the streets of Phuket, but no one knows where he might have gone, where he is now, or what could have happened to him. But there are some theories. Many people online believe that he is either in the hospital being treated for mental illness, in jail, that he has been taken and is being held against his will and will likely be sold for some kind of services, or that he is dead. And that's really all the information that's out there right now. Hopefully he turns up soon unharmed and he will eventually be reunited with his family, but unfortunately right now we just don't know if that will ever be the case. Okay, so this next guy didn't disappear without a trace, but he is most certainly not going to be posting any TikToks anytime soon. It's Ali Abulaban, who ended the lives of both his wife Anna and her friend after he began suspecting the 2 of engaging in an affair. At the time of the pair's death, Ali had amassed nearly 1 million followers on TikTok. His content often revolved around his wife and their relationship, which he portrayed online as happy, loving, and drama-free. The 2 were often seen partaking in trends and dancing around their shared home. But in October of 2021, things turned dark when Ali went off the deep end and secured the fate of both his wife and her friend Cadenas, as well as his own fate. But here's the thing. Prior to the incident, Anna and Ali had actually separated, and Ali had been asked to move out of the home, so even if she was hooking up with her friend, they weren't together. Anyways, he did move out of the home, but he later snuck back in. He trashed the place and then planted a recording device in he and Anna's daughter's tablet to record any conversations that Anna might be having. That night, Anna invited her friend over, and after hearing his soon-to-be ex-wife giggling over the recording device, Ali went over to the home and fired a projectile out of a handheld weapon at the pair, killing them both before calling the police. He was arrested for the crime and charged with killing his wife and Cadenas. He is currently currently awaiting trial. And you know what? Why not double down on vicious TikTokers who committed unspeakable atrocities by talking about Claire Miller, who at the height of her TikTok career had a following of about 33,000, and who also killed her sister. Miller's content, which was somewhat popular on the social media platform, mainly consisted of videos of herself and her family lip syncing and dancing to popular audios on the app. But the last video she posted was entirely different, super creepy, and super messed up. It was a video of a white glove covered in thick red liquid sitting outside in the snow, along with a stuffed giraffe absolutely soaked in the same red liquid, which strongly resembles both the color and consistency of BLOOD. Now, I had actually seen this video on TikTok before, but it wasn't until I began actually researching Claire Miller that I realized the dark reality behind it. It turns out the night that the video was taken and posted, Claire had walked into the room of her sister Helen, a woman living with Down syndrome, and impaled her in the chest and neck multiple times before going outside, taking the video, and then calling police to turn herself in. In relation to the crime, she was given a sentence of 12.5 to 40 years in prison.
Number 10, ready for bed. Right off the hop, this one is a classic. It is juicy, it is full of fear. The original video has been removed from the original user. It's always a good sign, I guess. That's always promising. But we have the TikTok here. We have it live on the scene, folks. Here we go. Watch it once. Tell me
This TikTok story starts out with a poster explaining to us that the story starts in 2018 when she was in her senior year of high school. She laid down to take a nap before swim practice, and when she woke up, of course, she would just sort of continued living her life, but things were like weird and different.
And then all these things started happening. A couple of my friends broke up. Our friend group kind of started to fall apart. I ended up with a different boy than the person I was with in real life. It was just really strange, and it was everything that was going on in the real world, but it was just a little different.
She goes on to explain that things got really weird and kind of scary when her whole friend group began to fall apart and there was all this drama. One night she went to sleep just sobbing and crying and basically just begging for things to go back to how they used to be and for a chance to try again. When she awoke the next day and opened her eyes, however, she was right back where she was when she went to sleep before swim practice months ago. To make this all even stranger, the things that she had dreamt about actually ended up coming true in the end. Was this a sort of time slip? Is she psychic? Who even knows at this point? In our number 9 spot today, we have the cat. This story starts off at 7 o'clock in the morning when this guy was driving to work. Unfortunately, he had the terrible moment of seeing a cat who has passed away on the side of the road, and to make matters even worse, it looked like the cat that he owned. He of course pulled over to check, and unfortunately he sees the cat, sees it's his, and can tell that it is very obviously dead and has been for a while. It's all very sad, of course. He takes a picture of it, he sends it to his wife, which, like, that would be a jarring text to receive, but anyway. So his wife calls him, she wants him to go pick it up, she doesn't want their cat just left out there, so he goes back to the spot and he sees that there's a fresh blood print on the ground, but now the cat is gone. He goes home, he's talking to his wife, she's really upset, and then suddenly she points, he turns around and his cat just appears, but it's got a big gash on its head. So of course they give her the treatment that she needs. This is already all weird because, I mean, he saw the cat and it was dead, but this is where things get even weirder.
Later that night, I'm staring at the photos, and I thought, something ain't right. And I drove back down to the bus stop and I took another photo from the same parking stall. There was paint lines, the pavement was different, and the bloodstains were different in my photo that I took in the morning versus the one at night.
He also goes on to explain that since this weird incident, things have just been different. A new song comes out and he somehow knows all the words. There's actors that aren't really very famous, but he knows them as super famous A-list celebrities. It's all small changes, but definitely enough to notice. In our number 8 spot today, we have the party. This story starts off the summer after this TikToker graduated from high school, and she and her friends were going to a bunch of different parties. So this one party in particular that they went to had a weird garage that was set up like a game room, and they had a huge backyard, and basically the backyard was in between the house and the game room. She remembers the entire layout of everything, from the yard to the whole house. It was just really specific. So after this party, when she tries to bring it up with her friends, no one else remembers going to this party, like, at all. Everyone who was there with her thinks she just remembered it wrong or something like that because they truly have no idea what she's talking about. Okay, so that's already weird, but our memories are weird and can sometimes play tricks on us. So flash forward a few years and this happens.
A few years down the road, I go to this person's house, the lady's house, with my best friend at the time, and she has no recollection of the party, and she does not ever remember meeting me or having me as a guest in her home. But I can tell her where everything is, and before she shows me outside, I can tell her where things are. Nobody remembers it but me.
In our number 7 spot today, we have The Song. This story starts out when the storyteller was about 12 years old and in 6th grade. So they got a song stuck in their head one day, which of course is totally normal, happens to all of us. They couldn't remember the name of the song or any of the lyrics really, it was more of just the beat of the song that was stuck. So after a few days go by, he finally remembers what song it is, he can remember all of the words front to back, no worries, he knows this song really well, and he knows it so well because he can remember that his mom used to sing it to him every night before bed. So he goes to his mom and asks if she remembers the song, and she says, "No, I've never heard that song in my life." He swears that she used to sing it to him, but she swears that she never did. He has some really vivid memories of her singing the song to him, and to make things even stranger, this song didn't even come out until he was 9 years old, and he clearly has memories from before that. It's really a super strange incident, and I'm not quite sure what to make of it. In our number 6 spot today, we have the birthmark. Okay, this isn't the first time I've heard a story like this, which has me wondering, has anyone else experienced it? So basically this TikToker has had experiences before where she felt like she was in a sort of different or dream world, which has led her to believe that she may be able to do some sort of parallel universe jumping or something like that. So anyway, she has these 2 birthmarks that of course she's always had, and one of them is on her front near her belly button. so obviously easy to see. So one day she notices that this mark near her belly button, which has always been on her left side, is now suddenly on her right side. She then is super confused and decides to look at her other birthmark to see if anything is different there, and it turns out it definitely is. It's on the completely wrong side. It seems like a small thing, but that would be so weird. I've heard stories of people suddenly having birthmarks that they never had before, but this might be the first time I've heard about someone's mark switching sides. It's all just very strange. In our number 5 spot today, we have the lucid dream. So the storyteller starts out by explaining that they have a lot of crazy lucid dreams. One night, they basically got stuck in this super deep layer of a dream where in this dream, they could eat, they were being sent to a therapist because they kept explaining that they thought they were dreaming. Like it was like real life, but they were sure it was this layer of a lucid dream that they were stuck in. They could go to the mall, they went on dates with their boyfriend, they had a diary, literally just all the things that regular people do. They were in this space for months on end and started to believe that maybe they weren't dreaming and this was actually just their life. In the end, they go on and explain and say,
anyways, I felt the weight of my foot. I ended up like moving it because I was like, oh, I have to wake up. I'm like in the hospital or something. But when I woke up, I was just in my dorm room. That had been another layer of dream. And it was really, really difficult. I was like sobbing for hours and it was really hard for me to like let go. That wasn't real.
In our number 4 spot today, we have the accident. Okay, this story took place on May 19, 2013. This guy and his family were driving when they were hit by a semi-truck that was driving, he says, about 120 miles per hour, which is wildly fast. In some insane turn of events, both he and the rest of his family ended up making it through this crash. They flipped over this truck and somehow landed right side up. The car in front of them was fine, the driver of the truck was fine. That already seems like a parallel universe or like a stroke of the best luck somehow, but it's what happened after that really has this guy confused.
Gripped with gravity, flowed with it, launched my consciousness into another body, left my ego, came back, and it feels like I've been in a coma ever since. I don't know this place.
I honestly have never heard a story like this, but that would be insanely freaky. I truly don't have any explanation as to what could have happened here, so I ask you guys, what do you think? In our number 3 spot today, we have food preferences. This story starts off with the storyteller explaining to us that when she first met her husband, she was super excited to learn that he didn't have any food allergies and wasn't really very picky about anything. She was pumped about this because she loves cooking for people, so this would make it much easier for her to make him new dishes to try. So about 5 years into the relationship, he sees her chopping up some cilantro, which to be fair is quite the polarizing ingredient. I personally am team cilantro, but anyway, when he sees this, he reminds her to please leave it out of his portion because he hates it. This is weird because she's been cooking for him for the last 5 years and has definitely used cilantro many a time in the dishes. He swears this can't be the case because he thinks it tastes like soap and says that he's asked her many times throughout the last 5 years to leave it out of his portion of the food. So now, for the next 2 years, this continues on. Every time she cooks with cilantro, he actually does ask her to leave it out of his food. He swears he's always said this, and she swears it's a brand new thing, and then all of a sudden, after 2 years, it's like a switch flipped again, and he suddenly has no issue with cilantro and has no recollection of telling her he didn't like it. Honestly, I would feel like I was going insane, but she says that they've just categorized their relationship into 2 different realities: pro-cilantro and anti-cilantro. What reality are you in? In our number 2 spot today, we have the afterlife. This story starts off hot. The guy literally starts off by saying, quote, "In 2014, I legally died." Well, okay, sir. Firstly, I'm glad you came back, and secondly, I can only imagine what wild story is about to ensue. So for 17 seconds, he was gone, and while he gives all credit to the doctors and nurses who were there for bringing him back, he does explain that he went somewhere else for that time he was gone. Wherever he went, he was given a choice to either come back to this world or go somewhere greater. He chose to come back because he wanted to be with his family, but here's where things get even more strange. Since he's been back, he views the world differently. He views it in a sort of third person, like as if he's watching himself live life instead of actually being the one living it. It ends on quite a sad note as he explains that he misses the way things used to be and wishes he could get back to feeling like he really is actually living his life instead of just watching someone else. In our number 1 spot today, today we have Grandma. So this story starts out when the storyteller was younger. She remembers every summer she and her mom would go to Columbia, South Carolina to visit her great-grandmother. It was something that they did every summer, and it left her with quite some fond memories, some of the best and most vivid from her childhood. So when the storyteller was about 12 or 13 years old, August rolled around and no one was talking about going on this trip to Columbia to see her, so of course she asked her mom. When she asked, her mom asked her back, which grandma, and she explained, the one we always visit in South Carolina, and her mom replied, babe, that grandma died before you were even born. Her mom started to show her pictures, and sure enough, it was this grandma that she remembers visiting every year. I'm not sure how she could possibly have all these memories, but the only answer I can think of must be some sort of parallel universe or something like that. It truly is quite an unbelievable story. In our number 10 spot today we have 2027. There is a TikTok user who claims to be a time traveler that actually comes from the year 2027. Of course, this isn't a time travel list, it's a parallel universe list, but don't worry, they also have TikToks that pertain to parallel universes. In fact, they claim that they are actually in a parallel universe in which there are no animals or people. He claims to have just woken up in a hospital one day, somehow left as the only sentient being on the planet. That's creepy, or a dream, I guess, depending on your outlook on life. Apparently, he claims to be part of some sort of experiment where, although he comes from 2027, he is in a 2021 world completely alone. People, of course, asked for proof of this, and aside from a few shots that show empty streets and the like, he did post a clip of himself walking into a completely deserted McDonald's. There's boxes of food left on the table and a jacket draped over a nearby chair, which definitely leaves a sort of eerie feeling, like people were just in the middle of something and then they suddenly disappeared. In our number 9 spot today we have Sam's story. A TikToker who goes by the name of Sam Doll posted their parallel universe story on TikTok. She starts off by setting the scene, which was at her then boyfriend's house for the first time. Basically, she wakes up in the middle of the night to go to the washroom, and this is when she sees a guy standing in her partner's room. She didn't panic and just assumed that it may be his brother who she hadn't met yet, and she assumed that he was just sleepwalking. As she looked closer, she realized that this man was actually smoking a cigarette and appeared to be in his 40s. This is when she sits up and says, "Hey." And just like that, the man disappears. In the end, she didn't end up waking up her boyfriend and instead told him about it the next day. To her surprise, he said that she needed to tell his mom because apparently his mom had previously reported a similar sighting. In the end, because of the fact that the two of them shared the same experience, she believes that it is possible that this man is living in that house, but in a different universe, and that perhaps there's some sort of a leak in between the two timelines, making these strange occurrences a reality. In our number 8 spot today, we have The Trip. A TikToker and Nashville model named Katie Rocks took to TikTok to share a really bizarre experience she had that relates back to a 2017 school trip to France. This sounds like a dream, but when it came time to leave, things went a little awry. Basically, Katie remembers distinctly flying back home from and relaxing. In our number 5 spot today, we have The Shifter. Ashley Vask is a young woman from New Jersey who took to TikTok to explain that she has been shifting for a few years. She explains that her first encounter shifting into a different reality occurred by accident when she was listening to music. Basically, she shifts herself into a sort of Harry Potter world. She said, quote, "I was obsessed with Harry Potter at that point. All of a sudden, I felt extremely weird. I woke up and I swear on my life that I felt like I was at Hogwarts. It was the craziest feeling." She did her research after this and found out about the phenomenon of reality shifting, and since then has begun practicing more and more, and now takes to TikTok to share her tips and tricks with others. She explains that her favorite method of getting into this world is what she calls the tunnel method. This sees her lying down, closing her eyes, and visualizing a tunnel in which she can see the Slytherin common room at the end of. In our number 4 spot today, we have The Dream Life. Mavi Juka is another Harry Potter world shifter whose TikTok account had about 200,000 followers. She used TikTok to explain how she used similar techniques as Ashley from before in order to achieve the appearance she wanted and also the family relationships she aspired to have. She also uses the shifting in order to head off to life at Hogwarts, and she said that for every 1 hour that passes while she sleeps, she experiences a month at Hogwarts. She explains that she doesn't use this power she's harnessed on friends because she doesn't want those relationships to be forced. In terms of her Hogwarts life, well, things are definitely more calm there than the wizarding world we are used to seeing, because she explains that Voldemort isn't a part of her Harry Potter reality. In our number 3 spot today, we have The Lesson. A TikToker named Mina, who goes by the username Your Soul Warrior, is helping people understand the multiverse and how it exists. She uses an example of a simple breakfast choice, either having a smoothie or pizza for breakfast. If you choose the smoothie, your reality continues on where you chose the smoothie, but there is also a reality in which you didn't choose the smoothie, which has another you in it living life under those circumstances. A small, inconsequential example that shows the complexity of parallel universes. She even took to TikTok to answer a really common question. Basically, it's the question of having a vivid memory from your childhood, but your parents swear that it never actually happened. Mina had an answer for this when she explained that this sort of thing is likely because you are pulling from another timeline and just don't realize it. She goes on to say that all of these timelines are running parallel to each other and to completion. It certainly is an interesting point of view on something that is actually quite a common experience. In our number 2 spot today, we have the afterlife. Okay, so basically the premise or the idea or theory that this TikToker has come up with basically relates to what they believe happens after a person passes away. Her name is Jolie and she describes herself as a philosophical artist. She boasts thousands of followers who she shares her theories with, and one of the most controversial that relates to this video is the theory that we never actually die and instead are just transferred into another universe, sort of like a cosmic reincarnation. She basically explains what is called the quantum immortality theory. She explains, quote, "If you're hoping that apocalypse is going to bring you that sweet, sweet relief, I'm sorry to burst your bubble. Quantum immortality theory suggests that nobody ever actually dies, that consciousness never experiences death." It's definitely an interesting theory, and one that I have no way of either proving or disproving, so how about you guys let me know what you think of this one in the comments. Are we on board? In our number 1 spot today, we have The Night Out. This story comes from a TikToker who was responding to another TikTok that asked users to share their parallel universe stories. Basically, she starts off by explaining that she was driving with this guy that she was dating after a night out. She looked down at her phone at one point to change the song, and when she looked back up, traffic was suddenly at a complete standstill. The car they were in was going 70 miles per hour and they were just seconds away from rear-ending the car in front of them. She just closed her eyes and braced for the impact she was sure was about to come, but when she opened her eyes, she was instead on the freeway